everyone, I'm Mind, and I just got another issue of the LEGO Ninjago Magazine. This month's issue is one I was really looking forward to, because the exclusive minifigure this time around is fantastic. It is Golden Oni Lloyd, however, without the Oni mask, so I'm not sure why they're still calling it Oni Lloyd, it's really just Golden Lloyd. But regardless, this figure is exclusive to the biggest set from the Crystalized wave, so now instead of spending $150 to get him, you can get him in a cheap magazine instead. So I think that is super cool, a fantastic figure to get. But of course, as always with these magazines, we'll take a look at the figure at the end of the video. For now, let's take a look at the magazine itself. So with the minifigure removed, here's the full cover of the magazine. You can see it's got a picture of the Golden Lloyd on here, and it says that he's mighty and his weapon is massive. Ninjago Secrets, how the ninja beat the overlord. Jungle Chase, what beasts await the ninja. Then we also have epic door hangers, which I always love. The door hangers in the past have been very funny, as well as wicked posters. So without further ado, let's just get this thing open, see what's inside. Okay, this is this is mixing things up. The last year of magazines had ads for the core sets on the first page. They have removed that and replaced it with an ad for LEGO Friends. Not sure why Friends is the theme they're advertising here, but I mean, alright, that's cool, I guess. I'm all for the new Friends wave, I think it's pretty cool. Just seems odd to be the very first thing they advertise in a Ninjago magazine. But regardless, here we have the table of contents right here, and then turning to the next page. This is the information page on Golden Oni Lloyd, which has the instructions on how to build him, as well as some other details. From window cleaner to dragon rider, the Green Ninja experienced a real roller coaster ride in season 16. Not 16, it's 15. The Overlord must be glad that Lloyd didn't come to the final battle with his gigantic energy trident, which I guess is the build in this magazine. Okay, and they have a summary of just all of Crystalized right here. This is a little game we have to figure out which box has all the pieces to build the trident. And then, of course, we have the instructions. Then turn to the next page. Here we have an epic flying lesson with Zane. We have Frost Alert. Zane has flown thousands of meters above Ninjago City, but because of the extreme frost up there, he can no longer see his route. Help the Ice Ninja put the frozen route sections A through F in the correct gaps. So I guess you have to match these over here with this. Then there's a little seek and find game, where you have to figure out which character is not here twice. Then turning to the next page, we have Danger Rock Slides, and this is just a big giant maze. This one's a game where you have to figure out which silhouette matches the Vengestone Warrior, and that also corresponds to this game down here, where you have to figure out a secret code based off those images up there. I like that, how it's sort of two games in one. That's a cool way to mix things up. But now we come to the most interesting part of the magazines, at least for me, and that is the comic. Now, as always, I'm not going to read the entire comic to you guys. However, if you want to pause the video and read it for yourself, feel free. And if I notice anything especially funny or interesting, I will stop the video and point it out to you guys. But yeah, let's get started. Okay, so this takes place in the middle of Crystalized, right after they get their vehicles back. Very similar time as to when last month's magazine took place. Yeah, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but it seems like this is taking place literally the same time as last month's comic. If anything, even slightly before it, because it's before they meet back up with Lloyd, it looks like. Bit weird that they're jumping back in time. Okay, so Nya basically just steers the bounty into the jungle. Yeah, honestly, I'm not in love with this comic so far. It reminds me a lot of last month's comic, and it just feels like not much is happening. It's just a big fight scene. But we'll see if any of that changes in the second half. For now, though, of course, we are at the break in the comic. Here we have a jungle challenge. Okay, so this is associated with the comic, which is cool to see. It's Wu versus the Crystal Beast, and it's a dice rolling game, which is fun. I always like when they include those. Also, for some reason, the yaks are back. The writers of the magazine seem to really like the yaks for some reason. They're in way too many magazines. I mean, I guess I don't mind. It is funny. But yeah, they're just in so many of them when they were really in, one episode of the show ever? But anyway, moving on from that, now we have the posters. Here we have a poster of Nya's Samurai Axe back, and I actually really love the design of this poster. The pose the mech's in looks really cool. I love the background behind it, and that Nya render fits perfectly. However, as with so many of these posters, I think it's kind of ruined by the text. The text's not the worst, but it's just awkward. It says, Nya Mega Cool Sam X Mech. Why is that what they chose to write? It would be better if the Mega Cool wasn't there. That just sort of seems shoehorned in. And then Sam X says Samurai X, I guess, saves on space. It still works. And then also just says Nya instead of Nya's. So I don't know, Nya Mega Cool Sam X Mech just makes the poster feel a little bit awkward to me. But the rest of it is very cool, so I would say this overall is a pretty good one. But yeah, the text on these posters are always the worst part. Now flipping this to the other side, this poster is actually fantastic. This is an instance of text I don't mind at all. Just says Golden Dragon to Kai. I like how Kai's hand is going over a little bit of the text. Helps keep it a little more three-dimensional. But no, I think the text looks good. The graphics are great. The render of Kai looks amazing. I love just all the flames behind him. That's genuinely a super cool poster. It might be one of my favorites ever. The designers did a fantastic job with that. So honestly, I'd say overall both posters this time around are pretty solid. As you just heard, I don't think the Nya one's perfect, but I still think it's alright for what it is. And I think this Kai one one's genuinely fantastic. There seems to be some sort of printing issue right there, that little, like, black mark. I can't, like, rub that off. There was something printed there. I wonder if that's a common issue or that was just an issue with mine. Regardless, it's not a huge deal. Now back to the magazine. Here we have a word search. And then you have Dazzled, where you basically just have to spot all the ninja in these pink crystals. They just turn the opacity down on them. But then, of course, finally, we are back to the comic. So let's see if this picks up at all. Okay, I do like seeing, like, Master Wu and Nya working together, because I feel like both of those characters could have gotten more screen time in Crystalized. So it is nice to get more for them, and seeing them, like, fight the crystal beasts on their own. And there we go, then we're at the end of the comic. Yeah, this was not one of my favorites. I just feel like they need to get out of this exact time period. I don't like that this takes place, like, pretty much the same time as the last comic. And I think there was a previous comic that took place, like, one episode before, too. I don't know, I feel like this is just one of the less interesting parts of Crystalized in general, so just exploring more details about it, not my favorite. That's just me personally, though. You guys will let me know in the comments what you think. Did you like this comic? Did you not like it? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I was happy to see Wu and Nya, but like the first half of the comic, I felt like they didn't really know what was going on. So now let's move on to the next page. Here we have Total Team Triumph. In the season finale, the ninja need help, lots of help. The supervillain Overlord is just too powerful for them alone, so the heroes gather together dozens of their friends and allies. Find out who's involved in this epic battle. So just as details on all the people who came to help out, we have the Paper Boys, the Merlopians, the Shintarans, and of course Vanya is here saying her iconic line, "I'm a big fan of the ninja, especially Cole." Then we have the inmates, which of course, as they mention, piloted some awesome mechs built by Cyrus Borg. Now these mechs weren't made in the actual LEGO sets, but you know, I did build them myself. I actually made a whole video on it. I posted that a few days ago. You guys might want to go check it out if you haven't yet. Pretty good video, pretty proud of it, if I do say so myself. I'll put a card in the top right corner, because yeah, I don't know, me personally, I think that turned out pretty cool. But anyway, let's get back to the magazine. Finally, we have the Serpentine. Though this is a little inaccurate, they have 3 different Serpentine here. However, in the show, it was only 2 different types of Serpentine that helped. We only had Scales and Mesmo, Ratlo was not there. And then finally, we of course have the Golden Dragon Ninja in the middle. I think this is actually a pretty cool page. I like seeing the renders of all these different characters. Though some of them, like Ultraviolet and Kilo, they don't have renders for, so they're just using like minifigure images. While the Paper Boys, they just take screenshots from the show. And I believe that's card art from Nelson and Antonia. So it is definitely a mixture of a lot of different art styles here. But it is cool to see like everyone lined up. I do like that. And a lot of the dialogue's pretty funny. Now turning to the next page. Okay, so this is the whole Ninjago NXT thing. Now this is like a campaign that LEGO's doing, being like, okay, now the Crystalized ended, what's next for Ninjago? So they're like prompting you to make your own stories, and it looks like they actually included that in the magazine here. Tell the world your next LEGO Ninjago story with Ninjago NXT. In the epic season finale of Ninjago Crystalized, the ninja released their powers to create a majestic elemental dragon, defeating the Crystal King and his evil hordes. Victorious but powerless and broken, where did the ninja go from here? We want you to tell us. And it basically just tells you can make your own comic here, and then if you want inspiration or to send LEGO your story, you can scan this QR code to do it. It gives you ideas for like characters to use, villains to face, locations, and then you can write a description of the story here, and then you can draw the comic right here. It gives you some speech bubbles to start with, as well as a drawing of Jay. I think this is actually a lot of fun. I know I definitely would have done this as a kid. Like, this magazine existed, and I was like 8 years old, I definitely would have filled this in. So I do think this is a very fun campaign, and it makes sense to be in a magazine here. But then, turning the page, I think that is it. We have an advertisement for the DC magazine, or I guess the LEGO Batman magazine specifically. Then we have a giveaway for the Crystal King set, which I guess if you guys get this magazine, you can fill out and send in. Then turning to the final page, you have an advertisement for next month's magazine, where we have Golden Dragon Jay. Now, definitely the least interesting Golden Dragon figure to get, just because he does come in such a cheap set. However, he is exclusive to that one cheap set, so I'm very happy to get a second through this magazine. So yeah, that one's definitely going to be super cool to get. And then finally, to end things off, we have a Mighty Door Hangers. I really like this one. Command, go away! Definitely going to be hanging that one up in my college dorm. Oh wait, I take it back. This one's my favorite. Just stop, stop, stop! These are so funny. Also, it says overleaf again. Now, they used that word in a previous magazine. I wasn't sure what it meant, because these magazines come from the UK and I am American, but apparently it is a UK term that means, like, the page before this one. Or maybe it's just an English term that's not used commonly in the US. But yeah, overleaf means the previous page. Or I guess the other side of the page. So, thank you, comments, for pointing that out to me. I learned something. But anyway, I think that's about it for the magazine. So now let's take a look at the minifigure that it came with. So the polybacks are still using these paper bags, and I honestly really like these. Can't wait till like actual LEGO sets switch to paper bags, because these are just so much nicer to tear open. The graphics on the front are definitely poorer quality in terms of the printing, but I don't mind that because it's just much nicer packaging overall. But yeah, let's tear this open, pour the pieces out. Here is Golden Oni Lloyd, and this is a fantastic figure to get in a magazine. As I mentioned, he only came in a $150 set, so getting him for significantly cheaper is so nice to see. But even beyond that, this is the main suit that Lloyd wore in Crystalized, so the fact that it was only in one set was pretty lame, especially because that was his Oni form, but in the show he also just wore it as a regular ninja suit, so it's nice to have a second to display one with a ninja mask and one with the Oni mask. So thanks to this magazine, I'm now able to do that. In terms of design too, I think Golden Oni Lloyd has one of the coolest torsos ever. Just the gold printing on top of the gold brick looks fantastic. I love the sort of dragon face he's got in there too, with like the green scales and green eyes. The belt's a great splash color as well, and I love how the detail continues pretty much all the way down his legs. Just a fantastic design all around, super detailed, super high quality. One of my favorite Ninjago minifigures of all time. Now, it would have been nice if they did include his Oni mask, so that way you had the option to display him in Oni form or not Oni form. However, I don't mind that as much on this figure as I would in some other figures, because as I mentioned, you can still make a complete version of this guy without the Oni mask. It'll just be the ninja version of Lloyd, not the Oni version of Lloyd. He comes with this headband hairpiece, which is a little bit lame. I just feel like that hairpiece has become way too common. He only really uses it in the island, so I would have preferred just a regular hairpiece here, but I guess it's fine for what it is. And I am happy he comes with his armor piece too, because they don't always include that, and they definitely did not need to include that here, but they still did, along with the golden katana. And then another part of this guy that I feel like really should be appreciated is the weapon that he comes with. A lot of times these magazines come with really unique weapon builds. Sometimes they don't, other times they do. But yeah, this weapon is definitely super unique. This gray piece at the top, I believe, is also super hard to find. I think it only comes in one set, being the Jazz Club, like, ideas set. No, not the Jazz Club, the Jazz Quartet. Yeah, the Jazz Quartet Idea set, I believe, is the only set this piece comes in this color. So obviously, if you did not get that set, this magazine's a fantastic way to get that part. And also, the weapon just looks really cool. I like the 3 teeth at the top. The trans green studs are a nice touch. It fits Lloyd well while also being something like you wouldn't find in sets. I'm actually very happy to see this here. Probably one of my favorite magazine weapon builds in a long time. And then removing everything, there's a full look at the minifigure, as well as a look at the back torso print, which once again looks fantastic. I'm just like in awe of how great that design looks. So happy I can finally get another of this figure, because yeah, it was a really good one in the sets, and it was a shame it only came in one. But I think that's all I have to say on this minifigure. So now, what are my overall thoughts on this magazine? I honestly think this is one of the best magazines in a long time. The posters are surprisingly great, the activities seem pretty fun, but most importantly, this is one of the best magazine minifigures ever. A figure that was exclusive to a super expensive set, you are now able to get for significantly cheaper, so just that alone makes this a great magazine. However, I would say the rest of the magazine is pretty quality too. The only thing I'm not in love with is the comic. I just think it's kind of boring. It's not a bad story by any means, but I don't know, I feel like I just didn't really get anything out of it. I didn't learn anything new about the show or the characters. I guess it was kind of cool to see Nya and Wu go on a mission together, but yeah, it just felt very much like a nothing comic. I really hope next month's comic goes to a different time period, not just this one episode in Crystalized, because we got this same one last month. So yeah, definitely not my favorite comic. However, the rest of this magazine's so good that I definitely still recommend it. But of course, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and could give it a like, I would greatly appreciate it, and also subscribe to the channel if you're new. Make sure to go check out my custom Ninjago Crystalized Max if you haven't seen that video yet. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!